I have a random question that I've always been curious about. On Obie Trice's album, his first album, there's the song "We All Die One Day." Tony Yayo starts off shouting out "Soul Assassins," and then, in my opinion, my favorite Eminem verse ever, he shouts out "Be Real, Send Dog." What was the was there any sort of Soul Assassins connection with that song? Like, why was like Tony Yayo shouting y'all out?
Well, here's what it was, man. So that song was for the next Soul Assassin album.
Oh,
that's what that song was for. We had started it at that time, and and it was like, I don't know if I'm going to do another one at the time. And then Obie was working on his record, and Paul was like, hey, can we use it for Obie? When it's time to do yours, we'll do another one. And I was like, absolutely, no problem. Let's push it that way. But that's what that shit was for.
Crazy. So that was supposed to be on the next Soul Assassins album. Wow. When you heard Eminem's verse on that song, because I truly think it's the best Eminem verse ever, and I also think
he murdered it, bro.
I think it's the most underrated song of like that whole era of like G Unit, Shady Records. That song's so crazy.
The song was crazy. Yeah, we was managed by Paul for like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So at the time, we was rolling thick, so everything was in house back then. So that's how that shit came.
We just had Nems up here. Shout out to Nems.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see him in New York next week. I love Nems.
He's great. He's just like kind of just vintage '90s like disrespect.
Yeah. All day long, man.
He told me a story. He was like, yeah, so, his lyrics on his new album, I mean, his lyrics all the time are pretty crazy. But he was like, yeah, man, so, like, me and Paul went to Spotify, and we're in a room full of, like, people playing up the album. And he's like, that was the one time I felt really awkward because, like, I have a song where I'm talking about slapping the shit out of women, like, if they disrespect it. And he's like, you could just see all the women in the meeting just like be visually uncomfortable, and he's like, I had to stop it and be like, guys, this is all tongue in cheek. That's
the best.
That's that early 2000s, 90s energy, man.
Oh yeah, man. He came with it on this shit too, boy. It was good to hear it.
Yeah, for sure, man. What's your favorite song on the album, man?
Oh shit, I like them all, man. I think I went through periods where this was my favorite, then I recorded this one. This one's my favorite. This one's my favorite. So. Right now, man, I'm just, out here just enjoying the fucking record.
Yeah, dude, let's just be clear. You have Scarface on this album with Freddie Gibbs. You got Ev, Domo Genesis, Jay Worthy, too. I mean, this is crazy. Method Man and Slick Rick. How do you get Slick Rick on a record in 2023?
Just be patient, man. Just be patient. I reached out to, it's like pretty much, man, the homies all came through. I reached out and said, Rick, we're doing this. He's a fan.
Yeah.
He's a fan of mine.
As he should be, yeah.
And he plays Jump Around every night in the show. It's like one of his favorite songs ever. So when I reached out and let him know what I was doing, he's like, yeah, I got you. Where's the beat? I gave him the beat. And I had Method Man on it already. And, that was probably like 2 years ago that song was being done, man.
I want to say one of the first singles was the record with Be Real, Ren, and Cube.
Right.
And I remember seeing that and being like, yo, you don't see MC Ren's name anywhere anymore.
Nah.
Like that's a big deal to get him and Cube together on a song in 2023.
Yeah.
Especially with Be Real. Like, if you just think about, like, LA hip-hop, like, that's a crazy combination.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what do we do with this, man? Like Be Real was on. Like, where do we go with this song right here? And I was just like, yo, let's get Cube and Ren and Dre and Snoop. And Snoop was gonna do it. It's just timing. You know what I mean? I just wanted Dre to talk on the intro. He's like, I got you, but the timing. And I was like, I gotta turn this shit in now, but I gotta get me next time.
For you, man, I feel like your production style is so unique, and it like, I feel like you there's producers these days, I feel like, have kind of lost the sense of like style. At least the bigger ones, like, I feel like a lot of these guys' beats are kind of interchangeable. Like, you could tell me that it was produced by this person or this person. You're like, oh, yeah. But I feel like DJ Muggs, your shit is so, like, you have your signature sound. Like, and I'm just curious, like, when you first started making beats, what was, like, your, like, where did you draw inspiration from, man? Like,
well, first, coming up, man, you had to be different and have your own style. You was whack. You couldn't even use a sample somebody used. If you did, you was garbage. And
so you had to find your own samples, like
original samples.
Like,
if somebody
we're
used
really
it already,
digging, yeah.
Those drums, they use those drums. There was something about that. You know what I'm saying? And even for Cypress, man, the way we dressed, the slang, we have our own slang. Dress, have our own look, have our own musical style. So all that was important. You was whack, you was about it. So for me, I grew up with a lot of classic rock around, and my mom was in the Motown, so I had a lot of, psychedelic classic rock fucking influences, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, but with hip-hop, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, and then everything Marley Marl did. every single Molly Mark that came out with back in those days, it seemed like he was reinventing the game with every fucking single. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you heard The Bridge, and then you heard Poison.
Right.
And then you heard Raw, and you was like, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I'm saying? And then everything Larry Smith did, you know, Ultramagnetics, Boogie Down Productions, like all that shit right there was like, all that like mixed up in gumbo, and then going through my filter and spit it back out.